Hey there, and welcome to the AdSkills podcast. On our podcast, we only interview top-performing paid traffic professionals who produce consistent, scalable, and repeatable results for multiple clients across multiple verticals. And today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Brat Vukovich. Brat is what I call our YouTube assassin. He's an absolutely incredible media buyer who's produced incredible results for lots of clients in lots of different verticals. And I'm excited for you to learn a little bit about his backstory, how he helps clients produce results, and how to get in touch with him if you need some help with YouTube advertising as well. This is going to be a great show. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, Brat, super excited to have you here today. Thanks so much, man. I'm really excited to talk about YouTube ads, which is probably the hottest thing right now. So many people have been struggling with rising costs on Facebook that YouTube's kind of the next sexy thing. But as you and I both know, there's a little bit of a barrier to entry there. It's definitely one of those things that kind of requires some guidance to get through it because it is different than Facebook. So super excited to have this chat with you, man, and welcome.
Thank you, buddy.
So before we get into all of the awesome things that you and the Video Power team are doing when it comes to YouTube advertising, I just like starting so people can kind of understand that you weren't born in media buying, you did something else before. So can you just kind of talk about the journey that got you into media buying?
Yeah, I've been for over 10 years in the music business industry, working pretty much anything from being concert promoter, tour manager, and I was kind of always, I would say, impressed and involved in the marketing side of the music business industry. But since that's not like, life you want to have for you and your family, a couple of years ago, I decided that, I'm pretty much done with going month outside of my home. Okay. And that was the moment when I had to kind of figure out what the hell I'm going to work in my life.
Yeah.
And we started with lots of friends. I got involved in a digital distribution of the content music side and all that story, but the company didn't kick off. And a part of that journey was introducing to the YouTube, but YouTube from the organic side.
Got it.
And this is going to be interesting. And I started working as a freelancer on the Upwork, and I got contracts with a guy called Jeff Solventin from Tennis Evolution, and I helped him build his YouTube channel, growing subscribers and all that. And at one moment, I'm the guy, like, you invite me to your home to fix your plumbing, and I end up building you a new home. And at one moment he said, like, listen, I have this course about Google Display Network. It's from Justin Brook. Can you have a look into that? And we can, maybe run that GDN. And I had a look, and I went to 2 or 3 topics. And for some reason, I just dropped it. 2 months after that, he was like, we are growing the subscriber base for the YouTube organic, but can we do paid things? I see there is a new course on AdSkills from John Belcher. And I was like, what not? Why not? And I took the course, and I built the campaigns, and we got some results. So honestly, like, that was starting my first touch with the media buying. I think it was in 2017, October or November or something like that. So that is, like, in 25 short sentences, my road from music industry into the media buying. And then pretty much in quite like short time frame it took off.
Yeah, I mean, that's that piece that I love. I actually love that story because I remember people were telling me that the course was really good, the things, people were generating results. And I loved you were actually the first person that pointed something out that needed to get fixed. And so that's one of the things that I love, when I talk about you being an assassin, you have such great attention to detail. And everybody they have introduced you to loves you. They love the fact that you're able to come in and, look at things with a critical eye and figure out, like you said, how to fix things. We talk about plumbing. You have to figure out how to plumb your funnel. And so just kind of going through and making those things happen. That's what I really have loved about you as a media buyer, and seeing the incredible things from starting with that one YouTube course to now all of the different campaigns you're managing. You're into Google Shopping. You're doing all kinds of different things. It's really cool to see how far you've grown there. So I'm excited to talk about the process that you use from taking people from zero to the incredible results you guys are producing on YouTube. But before we do that, I have a little bit of a selfish request. So you just talked about how AdSkills kind of helped you get on the path with the paid traffic side. Can you just, for me, just if in case there's someone that's new to paid traffic or they're considering AdSkills and they're kind of on the fence, can you just kind of help us understand what do you find valuable about what we do, both when you got started and now that you're at the level, we talk about leveling up. You're kind of at this level of an expert in this field. A lot of people are seeking you out for information, for opportunities. How has AdSkills supported you, and how has that changed over time?
So first thing first, I think the great, I would say, not all people would expect this, but I think the greatest things about AdSkills are actually courses that you guys create, because we live in a so different time frame that our educational system that we have is built for. What those courses create for you is a structure and a plan how within the time frame of 1 month you can go from 0 on a scale 0 to 100. You can go in 1 month on a 60. It's a long road to go between 60 to 100, but it's unbelievable that you can spend 1 month only, and get yourself to actually spend someone money and actually spend your money and make that. And that's mostly, if you would ask me, is because of the structure of the course, because it just guides you naturally how to actually, start, develop. And to be honest, I think every agency out there is using your guys' courses to train their junior media buyers. Second thing is Pro League, which is just, I think that's where the industry lives, in my humble opinion, and especially with the recent guys that you brought in to guide us and help us. I think, those kind of information you cannot find anywhere else. And the culture you and Justin tried to cultivate there is just like bring the value or go away.
Totally, yeah. And for those of you who are listening who don't know, Brat was talking about Pro League, which is our Slack channel inside of AdSkills. And on the YouTube side, Brat, and I'm excited to have Brat, is actually going to be a part of our YouTube course now moving forward. So YouTube's our #1 selling course. It's the one I first came out with in 2016. And it's evolved several times because the platform has changed. And Brat's going to be a part of the implementation pieces, showing you not only the structure of how everything is laid out, but how you actually go execute those things. So it's step by step. A, I'm excited to have you in there. But B, with Pro League, it's that Slack channel. And now we've got Brat and myself in there that can help you, but also Jake Larson, who you work with at Video Power, Tom Breeze, Bryant Garvin, who spent $100 million with YouTube advertising for Purple Mattress, Tommy Powers, people call him Tommy Traffic, Shash Singh, who his group's doing some incredible stuff with YouTube. Absolutely. So the amount of YouTube resources in there, in addition to all the other traffic sources we talk about, but YouTube specifically has been fun to continue to build up the arsenal of people there. Kevin Milani, I can't believe I forgot Kevin Milani. Kevin's probably the #1 media buyer at Google this year.
Tom Breeze.
Yeah, Tom Breeze, all those guys, that has been absolutely instrumental to having really high-level discussions. And so that's really what Pro League is. So if that was the question that you had in your mind, Brat, thanks for bringing that up. We think it's a great resource and excited to keep growing it. So anyway, thank you so much for just kind of sharing that. I think that's really valuable stuff for people who are new to AdSkills and want to understand the value we provide. So now let's get to the stuff, talking with people who don't have any, haven't leveraged YouTube or haven't leveraged it successfully. Can you give a quick breakdown of how your team at Video Power starts with people and basically says, you're coming in, here's the, the day one process, all the way up to the point where you're scaling people to $5,000, $10,000 and spend a day? You don't have to get into the nitty gritty details, but I just want people to understand that you guys have a plan and a process. And I'd love for them to kind of see what it is that you do to make people successful.
Yeah, I think Jake, I'm sure you're going to have him on an interview soon, can give a wider picture, but I can give you kind of more my way of thinking when you get the client on how to actually implement it. And for me, it's quite short, simple answer. It's called in-market affinity. That's the way, if you ask me as a media buyer, I'm excluding all the consulting that you have with the clients and building creatives and all that stuff, because that's not something that I handle.
Mhm.
When I get the creatives and want to implement it, I honestly love to focus my energy on an in-market and affinity audiences. First reason is for those out there not familiar with the way that you can target on YouTube. In-market and affinity are the widest possible way that you can target, except for the demographic target. So my logic is, if I can actually figure out how to get this thing working, I would be able to scale really, really fast and soon. So my logic is always, I would isolate one in-market audience or a couple of in-market audiences or a couple of affinity audiences, and I would love to test different creatives against those audiences. Never change that audience, and just find the angle to work it out and actually, get closer to the CPA the client want to see. So I'm different, most likely from the other media buyers. Someone wants to build it from bottom to top. I love to build it from top to bottom. I love to go against widest possible targeting, because then you can have it 1 month done, and you don't have to bother with building endless placement list, endless keywords, custom intensive, however they want to call it. And then, of course, we have such a luck that Jake built a company that is, I would say, one of the leaders in the industry. So the clients we work for are fairly educated in a way that the YouTube works. I think that for anyone, hustling the way within the YouTube advertising, the education of clients is so important to understand how you actually not just build the funnel from the sales side, but also build the funnel on the video side. So anyone out there, just make sure that your clients understand that CPAs from the cold traffic, not so cold traffic and warm traffic, would be different, and make sure that you communicate with the different creatives in the different stages of funnel from YouTube, not just the way that you drive them on a landing page or email. So that would be like 2 advices for people out there. And my process is 1 word, 2 words: in-market affinity. That's what I love.
I love it. No, that's great. And you're the same way that I am. You start with the top. And so just to kind of talk about the types of clients that typically work well with this, starting with those broadest audiences, we're not talking about little niche products or business to business. Typically, we're talking about big business to consumer businesses. Brat and I love to start at the top and figure out, is this thing going to be able to scale? Because both of our goals is to get you from $0 to $10,000 a day and spend as fast as you possibly can. So I think that's that piece of, if we can make that work, then we can go and kind of start narrowing down, talking about keyword targeting, talk about topics, talk about placements. There's profitability. There's higher levels of profitability at those lower levels. But you and I both kind of like that visceral spike of, how fast can I get this person to $5,000 a day? And so I think from that perspective, as people are listening and figuring out, could you actually help them? Talking about business to consumer products, or very broad. If it is a business to business, it needs to be very broad for these types of campaigns. Can you talk for a second though about, you bring up the affinity in the in-market pieces. How do you go through and help come up with ideas or do research to figure out what are the best bets to begin with?
Yeah, I have one little detail to share with the audience about in-market and affinities that I recently found. And I think I even didn't share it on a Pro League. So guys out there, keep in mind that in-market and affinity for the CPA, what it do, it absolutely keep your, let's say, what you are in market for and what your affinity is. But it also do place your videos in a font most recently released and most popular videos on my YouTube. So it's a dynamic instead of content-based targeting that I pretty much dislike, because when you do content-based targeting, you target on a content that's released most likely 2 or 3 years ago. And those topics are fairly big and those videos are very big, but there is not that much volume out there. What in-market and affinity do is push, and I think it's the effort from the YouTube to monetize better their most recent content out there. So keep in mind that it's like placing your ad on Premiere or on a replay. So that's one thing. second thing, about your question. So can you just remind me in 1 second?
Yeah. So it's like basically, how do you come up with research, or you figure
Yeah.
out the best opportunities to target?
It's AdSkills. Two things from AdSkills that you learn. It's a Google Analytics and comparing your conversion rate based on the data that you have. It's the audience insights, uploading customer match for the accounts that are whitelisted. And third one, I think most important, logic.
Okay.
You just know the market is there or not. It's fairly simple.
So I just want to make sure that people understand there's a report that lives inside of your Google Analytics. That is, it's called your advertising interests. And you have the opportunity, you actually have, let's say you've been running Facebook for a while and you want to get started on YouTube. You can actually leverage all of the information from your Facebook traffic. It's going to give you the highest opportunity of converting targeting options that Brat has the ability to go in, do the research he needs to do, and now turn those campaigns so you can turn a profit as fast as possible. We call it our Google cheat sheet. We literally can use information from all these different traffic sources. If you have a successful offer, now we know how to hedge our bets to be successful in buying YouTube ads. So I'm glad that's what you guys are using. It's such an amazing trick.
Not just for anyone out there listening to this, not just that you can identify the best possible lead market and affinity, but you can identify which of your demographics are working better with that market audience. So that's a huge, especially for those that want to go 10K or more per day. That's a huge thing. If you can,
it's massive. Absolutely. I think that's that piece of understanding that with YouTube advertising, if you have that data already, you don't have to start from scratch. Like you said, you can go from 0 to 60 very, very quickly. So I think that's massive. So the other thing, I want to go back to your first point. So just to make sure that I understand, because this is something you're teaching me right now, is when you're doing affinity in market audiences, your ads are actually being targeted on the newest uploaded content on YouTube, not the historical stuff. That's very interesting. I've always thought of YouTube from top to bottom when we talk about types of targeting, but now we're talking about depth. So it's adding an extra dimension of
absolutely
the newest stuff, but the topic, the placements is older content typically. That's a very interesting thing. I haven't ever thought about.
Not just that. Guys out there, go into the Google, type into the YouTube, type Facebook ads, and then filter that Facebook ad for time of the hour when it was uploaded, for number of views, and any other option that you have. Each time, first place would be the same video. That means that it's not search engine more, it's intent engine from now on. So, guys, a lot of things are changing. Use new tools that they release because they release it for a reason. And, freshest content is one part of that because they want to monetize it more. Use it more.
That's massive. I love that. So one thing you just brought up, though, is the custom intent audiences. And so this is the piece when you talk about intent. This is a feature inside of Google that allows you to put in a bunch of keywords, and you're not necessarily targeting the content with that keyword. You're targeting people who are actively researching things anywhere on the sphere of Google. So it could be on there. It could be through search. It could be through contextual keywords from display, or actually researching stuff on YouTube. But now you can put your ads so they can reach people anywhere. And I think that's massive. It's such an incredible thing that you can do that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It's such a cool tool. So one last question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we actually love custom intent. For some verticals, they are the best. The only thing I have to brought in, we had discussion about that in Pro League. I think Google is still not doing good job in transparency of the intent-based or interest-based targeting. So you cannot actually see where all the ads were shown, and the placement lists are not, not that transparent. So that's the trick, and that is taking a lot of people off from the interest-based targeting, because you, again, going back to educating your clients, you cannot explain to your clients why their videos are shown totally irrelevant content from their product.
Yep, that's definitely a piece that you have to understand. And once again, you have to guide. I think that's why you guys being such good guides is important, is talking about here's the keywords we're targeting, but the actual content is not in these keywords. It's just the audience. So I think that's a huge thing. Once again, important to understand that. And that's why having a guide like you is valuable. So the last thing I want to talk about you brought up is as you're retargeting, so you've got your cold, your warm, and your hot audiences. As you're doing retargeting on YouTube, are you doing a lot of Google Analytics retargeting? Are you working on sequencing? What are some of the things that you guys have done effectively to make that work?
Yeah, I think figuring out remarketing your video viewers is if you are on a larger scale, mm-hmm. if you can figure out to actually financially monetize video viewers in a way that you make money for your client, that's insanely powerful too, because it's so much volume out there in just video viewers that you generated, that if you can find a way to communicate with that audience in the next sequence,
yeah,
that's a huge. I think whenever we were able to remarket to the video viewers, it's a huge success. Then down the line, I think it's more in creative.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it's more in creative the way that you do, and 30 days. That's all I would honestly recommend to remarket. But it's a bigger trick how you put the creative in a way to not to abuse their time or space, because they are so much exposed to the advertising these days, and the biggest obstacle that we from a YouTube compared to the other guys from the Facebook, which we naturally hate because they can scale in 2 days from 1 to 20, is that, with instant ads, you're stopping them from doing what they love to do, and that's watch content. And for the Facebook guys, it looks natural. So
yep.
It's creative loss is a bigger thing to tackle than I think on any other network out there.
Yeah, and that's why there's a barrier to entry, but I think that's why Video Power is so well positioned. Is you guys have this great creative team with Jake and Cooper, and they have this great execution team with you. I think that's massive. One of the things that I wanted to bring up that you talked about, so from being able to retarget video viewers. So on Facebook, people are like, well, I can chop it up by 25, 50, all of those pieces. You don't have the ability to do that on YouTube, but what you can do is target people who watched a video as an ad, and a view counts as 30 seconds or more. So basically, if someone watched 30 seconds or more of your ad, they would be added to this audience that now you can go through and retarget those people. And something that I'm starting to work on that's really cool, I don't know if this is something you guys have been doing yet, but there's a new ad feature inside of YouTube called ad sequencing. And so rather than having to do the Facebook thing where you're going and like, if they watch 25% of this, then do this and have all these different rules, we just basically say if someone watched this ad as an ad, now we're going to build a sequence. And what we do is we'll do like customer testimonials, unboxing, all these different video creatives, and you just slap them together into a single sequence, and then people are directed from the top to the bottom of it. It's amazing to see. Your view rates are 60, 70, 80%. Your cost per click's 30 cents. We've gotten to the point too where we're starting to string together testimonials. We're going to put 100 testimonials together and just have them sit there and pound you, because it's one of those things. If you hit people with that much proof, they get kind of past that point. We talk about, there's something called the marketing rule of 7 when it comes to you need to basically talk to someone 7 times before they're actually ready to purchase anything. And that's what I love about YouTube, is the ability to string those messages together. So that's something that Brat, as the media buyer, has the ability to execute that and make sure it's done correctly. And then Jake and Cooper can go build messages that really fit together and sequencing people forward. So I love that you guys are using that. That's something we've started to do. And I just think that's something that's so effective that really is hard to achieve on any other network. It's that easy, and the ability just to continue to follow up with people. So that's a good little tidbit that's been working really, really well for us. Is that something you guys have done a lot of?
To be honest, ad sequencing is the next. When I say ad sequencing, I mean about the tool that is recently released. We have the sequencing in a way that we build it, but it's a different setup. We didn't have, or at least I'm not aware of the success that we had with the ad sequence, but it's on our roadmap. When we attack one new tool, trust me, it's like 2 weeks of non-sleeping till we guys work. It's impossible. It's not working.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible. So I love it.
No,
I'm glad you guys are
absolutely.
doing that. That's awesome. So, okay, we've talked a lot about YouTube advertising, a lot of the new stuff that's been out there, the process you guys go through. So really, kind of figuring out the creative with Jake and Cooper, then doing the research on your end with all of the analytics, and then building your campaigns and helping people scale. Can you just give listeners an example of, like, with your biggest clients at Video Power, what's the scale that you guys have gotten people to? How many thousands of dollars a day?
I mean, I honestly think I'm not allowed to answer that question. That would be a question for Jake when he's there. But I would say it's quite big.
Pretty big? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
So it's over $10,000. I can almost guess that.
As I said, Jake is going to be soon here, so
that's great. No, it's one of those things. But just like, I just wanted to give people an example of, like, you can go very quickly. I've had campaigns that have gone from $0 to $5,000 in 3 days. So, like, the opportunity
within 1 month or to 3 months, you can get things done fairly quickly if they have the offer.
Totally.
I don't know if you see that in a pro league. We kind of bubble into our own little bubble, but we all forget that actually it's a product.
Oh, totally.
It's a product. It's a thing that brings value into people's lives. So I think a lot of time that is completely out of the picture. That's like,
yeah, it's massive. So awesome. Well, hey man, thank you so much for being on. I'm glad we got to get some of your brain in here. I'm excited now to have you inside of the update with the YouTube course that'll be coming out in the next month or so. So excited to have you be a part of that. The last thing, for people who are interested in working with you, with Jake Larson, Video Power, what's the best way to get in touch?
The best way would be to reach out to Jake and speak with him directly.
Okay.
If there is availability for them to onboard.
Great. Well, I'll make sure we put a link down below so that way you can have an outreach. And outside of that, thanks again, man. It was great to have you here. Love talking YouTube ads, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, and thank you for Justin. AdSkills actually changed my life, and this is like testimonial that it's possible. You put the time, effort, and you have the right guidance.
Awesome. Thanks, man. That means a lot. We'll talk soon. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure you click on the subscribe button on the screen right now. Also, if you'd like to join the Daily Edge and get the daily dose of what's working in paid traffic and tracking, you can text Daily Edge to 44222.